Hi, sorry I'm late. I'm having computer problems here.
You're fine.
Jeez.
We're live.
Okay.
Great. Good afternoon. It is the 5th of February, 2021. This is the voting session of the House Judiciary Committee. Can staff put up the list of bills, please? Just briefly, I want to point out one that may not have been in your packet. Delegate Ivy is withdrawing House Bill 47. So I need a motion for the unfavorable withdrawal.
So moved.
Favorable.
Motion and second for an unfavorable withdrawal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed, nay. All right, that is an unfavorable withdrawn. All right, we can take that down. People should have the list of bills that were emailed to them earlier by staff. We're going to start with House Bill 126. I don't believe that we've received any amendments on this bill. Is there a motion on the bill?
Move favorable.
Motion
Second.
for favorable and a second. Is there discussion on House Bill 126? I should probably have there we go. Seeing none, we will take a roll call. Oh, wait a minute, Delegate McComas. Who's still muted?
The smaller programs in the smaller counties, which would be, very, very small population, is this going to cause a problem for them to be able to maintain their pre-release programs because they just don't, they're small and they don't have a lot of funds available to be able to do this? I was just a little concerned about that because I read the fiscal note and because I think we want it to be, we want all of the counties to do this, not just the major metropolitan ones.
Delegate Moon?
I don't think it's an issue. We finally got Mako and some of the other folks to support the bill. If you look at I actually went back and read the fiscal notes on this bill for the last 3 years. And if you stack them up that way, what you'll see is that the number of counties over time that charges is dwindling. And so for the smaller ones, some of the amounts that we were looking at were, it was like $1,000 or $2,000 a year kind of, the numbers were very nominal. And so the amount that the grants would cover, the smallest grants we saw were many times more than that. So it would certainly be a net gain for the counties. And again, they don't need to take the grant money if they don't like the restriction. But in almost every instance, I'm going to say it's going to be in their financial interest to do that.
All right, thank you, sir.
Other questions or discussion on the bill? I'm going to say you're going to have your camera on in order to vote. So Delegates Grammer and Malone.
Oh.
You're going to have to turn on your cameras here in a second. There we go. All right. Seeing no further discussion, we'll do a roll call. The Vice Chair.
Yes.
Delegate Anderson.
Aye.
Delegate Arakan. Here. I don't
Not
see
here.
Delegate Arakan. Delegate Bartlett.
Yes.
Delegate Cardin.
Yes.
Delegate Conaway.
Yes.
Delegate Cox.
Yes.
Delegate Crutchfield.
Yes.
Delegate Davis.
Yes.
Delegate Juanita Fisher.
Not here.
Not here. Delegate Grammer. Delegate Grammer is muted. Delegate Grammer.
Yes.
Delegate Griffith.
Yes.
Delegate Lopez.
Yes.
Delegate Malone. Delegate Malone. 126.
Yes, I thought I'd unmuted.
Okay. Delegate McComas.
Yes.
Delegate Moon,
Yes.
Delegate Shetty,
Yes.
Delegate Cham,
Yes.
Delegate Watson,
Not here.
okay, Delegate Williams.
Yes.
All right, I think that's 18. 17-0. We move now to House Bill 186, Delegate Malone's bill, therapy dogs. This time in Veterans Treatment Courts. There is an amendment to the bill. Delegate Malone, do you want to describe what the amendment does?
Okay. Bye-bye.
Delegate Malone? I think, well, it's on the screen. I think it's fairly straightforward. It changes the language from slightly from armed forces to uniformed services. Delegate Malone, are you moving this amendment?
Woof, woof, woof.
You're still muted, Delegate.
I don't know why I keep getting muted. Somebody, am I here now? I move the amendment.
All right, moves the amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Anyone
Kurt has
opposed?
his hand up, Mr.
Kurt is
Chairman.
waving, yeah.
Oh, wait,
Kurt-
Kurt is waving.
Delegate
I'm
Anderson.
sorry, we moved too fast.
Sorry, Delegate.
Delegate Anderson on the amendment.
Yeah, I just want to know, what does uniformed services mean? And is it defined someplace other than, is it defined somewhere in the code?
I believe it is, and I think it expands. And if I recall correctly, it expanded it. I think actually also to cover the Coast Guard. I think somehow they had gotten left out.
So, do you know where it's,
I do not offhand.
I just know, I've never seen uniformed services before. But I know council has probably vetted this bill. Who's the council on this bill?
It's me. This was drafted in the amendment office, and I'm certain they checked the code and used the appropriate language to include every.
I'm sorry, Lauren, say that. Somebody has to turn off their mic. I can't hear you. That person.
I didn't draft this myself. It came from the amendment office. I assume that they did a code search to use the appropriate term. I can spend some time if you need to look up in the code if this appears elsewhere and where it appears. But I think the idea is to do what Delegate Malone said. I think some parts were left out of the definition. So this is to be inclusive.
Okay. If you're fine with it, I'm okay.
Are there further questions about the amendment? All right, seeing none, we had a motion and a second. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the bill is now as amended. Is there a discussion on the bill as amended?
Chair,
And there's one more
another
amendment.
There's another amendment. Oh, I'm sorry. Tell us what this amendment does.
It's another technical amendment, striking out therapy to make it in parallel to the Senate bill.
Okay. All right.
So what's the Senate message?
Yeah, Delegate Cardin.
So the Senate bill just doesn't have therapy in there?
Basically, the Senate bill went first, and their counsel, when they vetted it, both amendments, the previous one and this one, were found to be needed to have it be kosher.
So
Okay.
sorry, does this make them all the same?
Yes. They're now the Senate bill and the House bill in
Including the last one
parallel.
we did?
Moon, what's your question?
One more
Including
question.
the last one we did?
Yes.
And if we're taking out therapy, does that mean that it can essentially be any dog as long as it's properly trained and it has a proper certification?
as long as it's gone through the training program, and it's been approved, by the existing legislation that we passed last year, then the dog would be deemed acceptable.
All right. Okay. So therapy is not a term of art.
Correct.
Are there further questions about this amendment? Seeing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The amendment is adopted. Now we're on the bill as amended.
Move favorable.
The motion for a favorable, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing no hands. Roll call. The vice chair,
Yes.
Anderson.
Aye.
Arakan. It's not here. Bartlett.
Aye.
Hardin.
Aye.
Conaway.
Yes.
Cox.
Aye.
Crutchfield.
Yes.
Deborah Davis.
Yes.
Juanita Fisher.
Yes.
Grammer.
Yes.
Griffith.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Malone.
Aye.
McComas.
Yes, yes,
Moon. Moon.
Yes.
Shetty.
Yes.
Cham.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
That's 20.
I'm a yes. Sorry it took so long.
Arakan makes 21. Okay, we're now going to House Bill 193. This is Delegate Guyton's bill. Is there a motion on the bill?
Move favorable.
Favorable.
Motion
Second.
for favorable in a second. Is there discussion on the bill?
I'd like to bring up one thing, please, Mr. Chairman.
Delegate Bartlett?
Mr.
Bless you,
Chairman,
Delegate Watson. Delegate Bartlett?
I asked in the hearing about having an advocate present. I spoke with some of the victim advocates and the sponsor about an amendment. Just wanted to update. She entertained the amendment, put the amendment in. However, due to the fact that there's so many details and nuances that come up by having the victim advocate present, she's just going to put in a separate bill next year. So I just wanted to follow up and circle back on that.
Okay. Are there further questions, comments on House Bill 193? I don't see anyone's hand raised in the raise hand feature. All right, seeing none, there's a motion in a second, and we will go to a roll call. The vice chair,
Yes.
Anderson,
Aye.
Arakan,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Hardin,
Yes.
Conaway,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Deborah Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
McComas,
yes,
Moon,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Williams. Williams? She gone?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Yes.
Okay. All right, 21. Now we go to Delegate Grammer's bill, House Bill 268. I think we addressed this bill last year. I do not have any amendments on this bill. Are there questions, or is there a motion on the bill?
Move favorable.
There's a motion for a favorable. Is there a second? I see Delegate Conaway. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. motion and a second. We'll have discussion now. By the way, the raise hand feature still works in this setting too, and it helps me. But Delegate Conaway, I saw you wave your hand. I don't want to give you too hard of a time. Delegate Conaway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Delegate, for bringing this bill. Can you just give me a brief update on what this bill does?
So it does not allow the use of the spousal privilege in cases where couples were married after the alleged crime.
So is this the bill that we talked about maybe last year and Bonnie and Clyde came up so they couldn't use the spousal privilege?
Yeah, this is the bill we talked about last year where a girl in Southern Maryland reported a murder, and then subsequently she was pressured into a marriage over the phone. The suspect was in jail and they were married on her lunch break by a lawyer in New Jersey. And the purpose of that was to essentially pressure her out of being able to act as a witness in the trial.
Right, but it was also the Bonnie and Clyde scenario was in this too.
I think that did come up, yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Delegate Davis, Deborah Davis.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Delegate Grammer, you know I voted against this last year, and I just wanted to restate why I will be voting against it this year. I've seen spousal immunity work in people's favor, and I do believe that chipping away at spousal immunity is a bad idea, and it's a bad idea for women and for women's rights.
Yeah, and I respect that, and I agree with you. I don't think we should get rid of it, but I do believe this is a loophole, and I do believe this is used to really intimidate witnesses, and that's why I brought the bill. But I do respect that.
Delegate Juanica Fisher.
Hi, Mr. Chair. Thank you. This is a question for the bill sponsor, and it's more like just a reaction question, not a legal technical question. During this time in COVID, I've actually had a lot of personal friends move their weddings, have a lot of disruption in their lives. And I just wonder what your take on it is of, then saying that those people, they moved their weddings for COVID, someone's charged, and now they can be forced to testify. And I've got literally five friends, I'm in that marriage stage age, that have moved their weddings this year. And so I just wonder what your take is on our current climate in your bill.
Yeah, so if you recall, we talked about this way back when we had the subcommittee hearing, if I recall correctly. And the amount of cases in which that would apply are so infinitesimally small. I mean, you would have to be getting married in this period after your husband or wife allegedly committed a crime, and your marriage would happen to be scheduled then, and you happen to be called to testify as a witness. So the chances of that happening are so infinitesimally small.
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that, Mr. Chair. It's okay.
That's fine. Delegate McComas, then Delegate Bartlett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for Delegate Davis. You said that you were concerned that it would move women's rights back. I couldn't understand that. So I wish you could explain it to me. So as to exactly what you were referring to.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Delegate Davis.
The whole purpose behind spousal immunity when it was first started was for the preservation of the family, to give the husband and the wife the opportunity to not testify against each other, to preserve the family. And it's been chipped away. I mean, it used to be unlimited. Now you can only use it once. And now we're chipping away at the opportunity to use it the one time. I have been in cases where a husband and or a wife, but particularly wives. Now that's why I say regarding women, particularly wives, they know their husband. They know that that the charges, I don't know, that they could work it out different ways, and to be forced to testify against them. I believe it's a woman's rights thing, because all too often it happens with women who are asked to testify against their husbands. And then, and I know you guys hear it all the time, but it is also a Black and brown thing. Since there are more and more poor people brought into a courtroom, more and more Black and brown people brought into a courtroom, then it becomes a Black woman thing, let me tell it, in my opinion, while I'll be voting against it. But I do believe that chipping away at spousal immunity is a bad thing.
Delegate Bartlett. Delegate
All right,
Bartlett.
I was looking at, thank you. I was looking at a few things. I was looking up the bill from last year because I thought there was an amendment, didn't see an amendment, right? Delegate Grammer, no amendment?
Yeah, I do not believe there was an amendment last year.
Okay, and then I was looking at the vote because I wanted to see how I voted on it last year. So that's one of the things. I wish that this had some type of rebuttable presumption aspect to it. I will be voting in favor of it, but I say that because what if you really are, it isn't a legitimate marriage? You don't have any opportunity to show that it is a legitimate marriage. So that's why I say I wish it had some type of rebuttable presumption to it. I will be voting in favor though.
Thank you.
Delegate Moon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I remember this debate from last year. The vote was both bipartisan and very tortured, and we had back and forth conversations, and ultimately had to draw a line somewhere on what was the greater risk, witness tampering or the Bonnie and Clyde scenario. And we actually had a live case on the witness tampering side of this. And just for background, in October, I want to say it was October of last year, so it would have been after the session ended, the Court of Appeals weighed in 7-0 unanimously on a case that said in Maryland, the spousal privilege is not absolute, and that they were guarding against the possibility of a sham marriage. And so that's, I think, ultimately where we were sort of leading this discussion. We didn't come to a clean conclusion on it, but the courts did ultimately lean in that direction. That being said, if someone wanted to use a hold to revisit it, the rebuttal presumption thing is interesting, though I did vote in favor of this bill last year. And part of what tipped me, there was no opposition, including from the public defenders. And so I think we said, all right, this seems like a reasonable one.
The Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Delegate Moon and I have been serving together for far too long, because I'm about to piggyback on what he was saying. It was a tortured, I wouldn't have used that word, but it was a tortured and long last year debate in subcommittee, I remember. And there was no opposition last year, and there's no opposition this year. The Women's Law Center sent a letter of support recounting a well-known case in Baltimore County several years ago. I believe Delegate Grammer brought this up, where the trial judge married the parties during a recess of the criminal case. And the Women's Law Center also mentions the Court of Appeal case mentioned by Delegate Moon, saying it's a narrow holding, and so it's not necessarily a bright line rule as creating the statute would do. And then also the Maryland Network Against Domestic Violence urges a favorable report on this piece of legislation as well. So I'll be voting in favor. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Delegate Cardin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I mean, for the reasons that Delegate Fisher and Delegate Davis mentioned, I think that either we get rid of the spousal immunity, or we don't parse it and decide, yes, it's okay here, but it's not okay there. So I'm going to continue to vote the way I did last year, and I'm going to vote against it. Thank you.
Delegate Malone.
I'm going to vote for it again. I don't know if this is the same case that Delegate Moon brought up, but I believe it also protects children, because as there are now so many children that are born out of wedlock and raised out of wedlock. There was an appellate case regarding marital privilege, and I believe the appellate court ruled that the ability to protect children was more important. And I think this would help protect children there, where people are maybe have had a child in common, and unfortunately, we hear all too often that a spouse will side with a spouse rather than to protect a child. And I think this bill will help protect children.
All right. Are there further comments on the bill on 268? Delegate Conaway.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My vote is rarely swayed by the opinion of my colleagues, but in this case, I believe that I've heard sufficient opposition against this bill by one of my colleagues, and I'll be voting against this bill. Thank you.
All right. Are there further comments? Seeing none, we will go to a roll call on the favorable motion. The Vice Chair,
Yes.
Delegate Anderson,
Yes.
Delegate Arakan,
Yes.
Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Carden,
Sorry about that. No.
Delegate Conaway,
No.
Delegate Cox,
Yes.
Delegate Crutchfield,
No.
Delegate Deborah Davis,
No.
Delegate Juanica Fisher,
No.
Delegate Grammer,
Yes.
Delegate Griffith, Delegate Griffith.
He's just swinging
I
along.
can see you there, Delegate Griffith. Delegate Griffith, can you hear us? You might not be able to hear us. Delegate Griffith,
He's talking.
Delegate Griffith, there's a favorable
Yes.
motion. You're voting yes? How are you voting? Yes. Okay. Delegate, yes. Delegate Lopez,
Yes.
Delegate Malone,
Yes.
Delegate McComas,
Yes.
Delegate Moon,
Yes.
Delegate Shetty,
Yes.
Delegate Chin,
Yes.
Delegate Watson,
No.
Watson, no, correct? Okay.
Correct.
Delegate Williams,
You're on mute.
I know. I think my mouse needs a new battery. I vote yes.
okay. 15-6, the bill passes. We're now going to
Thank you.
Delegate Deborah Davis's bill, House Bill 378. Seems like a relatively straightforward bill, but Delegate Davis, why don't you, well, first, can I have a motion on the bill?
Favorable.
Motion for a favorable, is there a second?
Second.
Favorable in a second. For discussion on the bill, Delegate Davis, would you please tell us again what the bill does?
Sure, Mr. Chair, thank you. This bill simply amends the Local Government Tort Claims Act to include the MACO Pooled Pension Trust Fund as a local government entity.
Right. Are there questions for the sponsor or anyone else about the bill?
Move favorable.
We already did that.
Okay.
There's a motion for a favorable in a second. I don't see any further, anyone seeking recognition for further statements, so we'll call a roll call because Delegate Moon is ready to continue his walk. The Vice Chair,
Yes.
Delegate Anderson,
Yes.
Delegate Arakan,
Yes.
Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Carden,
Yes.
Delegate Conaway. Delegate Conaway appears to be frozen. On my
Yes.
screen. Delegate Conaway votes yes.
Yes.
Delegate Cox,
Yes.
Delegate Crutchfield,
Yes.
Delegate Deborah Davis,
Yes.
Delegate Juanita Fisher,
Yes.
Delegate Grammer,
Yes.
Delegate Griffith,
Yes.
Delegate Lopez,
Yes.
Delegate Malone,
Yes.
Delegate McComas,
Yes.
Delegate Moon,
Yes.
Delegate Shetty,
Yes.
Delegate Cham, Delegate Cham, Delegate Cham, you're still muted.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Delegate Watson,
Yes.
Delegate Williams.
Yes.
All right, 21. All right, that concludes the bills that we have on the list today. Committee, next week, you can anticipate long hearings on both Tuesday and Wednesday. We also have floor sessions on Monday at 3, and on Thursday, the possibility of 2 sessions, and we have bill hearings during the middle of the day on Thursday. So I would anticipate longer days. Because of that, I am unlikely to call a voting session for next week because we'll be doing the bulk of the policing bills throughout the week. And in fact, we will also have hearings on Friday. So we're going to be 5 days next week. So I'm not going to add to that just yet. I would anticipate for sure a voting session on the 19th of February, and it may be an extensive one. Having said that, you should just be aware that that's what we're looking at. I will encourage the committee, given that there will be a larger than usual number of people to testify, especially on the first day of the policing bills, that questions, I'm not giving people second bites at the apple, and I'm going to start asking people to keep their questions on point. And your question should take less time than the answer that is going to be given to the question, or at least try. That may be asking a lot. All right. With that, I think that concludes our business for today, this afternoon. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you next week. Have a good day and a good evening. Bye-bye.